Stay with us for the best. It was a foregone conclusion. Volkswagen had put in by far the largest bid for Rolls-Royce and could hardly lose. But that didn't stop some of the luxury car maker's biggest fans turning up to throw a spanner in the works.
The most beautiful car in the world, and it's going to Hitler's people's car, so down market it's hardly true.
Ask you how you're going to be voting.
Anti-Hitler, anti-German.
The end of Rolls-Royce. No one will buy Mickey Mouse Rolls-Royces.
Despite such strident support, the attempt to put together a British bid for Rolls-Royce failed by a massive majority. In Crewe, the car maker's headquarters, that had been greeted with relief. Being taken over by a car giant seemed a much better idea.
We're all looking forward to the future for Rolls-Royce Motors, and we see a future with a large car manufacturer like Volkswagen or BMW.
No problem with that, no problem whatsoever, and I don't think the majority of the workforce has, because of their expertise, their engineering background, their knowledge.
Volkswagen was willing to spend so much on Rolls-Royce because it completes the set. It already has Skoda, VW and Audi, but not a top-notch luxury marque. This is what all the fuss is about. Not this multi-million-pound factory or even this £155,000 car, but this, the spirit of ecstasy, the famous radiator grille and the names Rolls-Royce. Between them, they're worth hundreds of millions of pounds. And Britain has been selling off its brand names for years. Ford and Vauxhall may feel British but are American subsidiaries. Rover is now part of BMW. Ford took over Jaguar years ago, and now even Rolls-Royce has gone, leaving the most famous British-owned car, the Robin Reliant. But does it matter? Vickers says not.
The people we've got in Crewe with their special skills and the special management team we've got there, I think if they'll still be there, they'll still be taking the business forward and managing it. Ownership will be from elsewhere, inevitably, because there are no big British car companies. And I think that's a good thing.
Volkswagen should mean more investment in Crewe, new models and more cars. Rolls-Royce will be around for a long time to come. John T. Bloom, BBC News.
Chief probation officers have warned that public safety could be at risk.
People flee. In Novi Poklek, they burnt 26 houses, 3/4 of the homes. The Albanians say it's a scene of desolation repeated in village after village. The Serbs say they're trying to catch terrorists. Western governments say their actions are out of all proportion to any reasonable anti-terrorist operation. A young boy whose father was killed described the attack to people from the next village. The heavy-handed Serb operation has brought the Albanian population back into the streets in protest, and their leaders have broken off talks with the Serbs.
If they continue to burn villages, to kill civilians, to create problems of refugees, this is a sign that the Serbian side is not ready to accept serious and substantial process of negotiation with Kosovo side.
Thousands of refugees are streaming across the border into Albania. They spent days walking across the mountains after abandoning almost all their belongings. Many are exhausted. Refugee officials say 10,000 have arrived so far. Albanian officials say 5 times as many remain across the border. The exodus has created alarm around Europe, and there'll be a series of emergency meetings next week. NATO is weighing the risks of becoming involved.
It's not an easy situation to handle, and certainly one cannot handle that situation through military means alone. It requires also a redoubling of the economic, diplomatic and political efforts to make President Milosevic see sense, to refrain from military action and to try to seek a negotiated outcome. But NATO is prepared to do what it has to do to contribute to such a solution.
What's noticeable about the refugees is that most are women, children and old men. The young men return to fight. The Serb suppression is simply stirring up trouble for the future. Brian Hanrahan, BBC News.